but becoming a big problem.
It is really taking over areas.
And can a salt particle have enough impact on the Earth's climate to change it?
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Steve Rudin from WJLA in Washington, D.C. It's been a very active tornado season and it's far from over. As of Tuesday of this week, NOAA Storm Prediction Center confirms there have been 859 documented tornadoes. That's 27% above normal. The latest happened last night just north of Austin, Texas. The town of Temple declared an emergency after the twister damaged roofs, flipped cars and snapped power lines. One viewer shared this video showing the moments the tornado moved through his community.
Please come get in the house.
Oh my gosh, we got a tornado right by our house.
Right now! Get in the house!
Stop!
Stop it!
Crews from the National Weather Service will survey the damage today to determine the tornado's strength. We'll have more on what that entails coming up in just a few minutes. South of Abilene, severe storms dropped hail and triggered floods. Streets in the town of Coleman were closed because of the storm. Quarter and tennis ball sized hail fell across the region, damaging homes and shattering car windows. The same area will likely see another round of strong to severe storms later today. The biggest threat for severe weather today is shaded in orange, including parts of Nebraska, Kansas, and Iowa. Tornadoes and hail will be the biggest threat. The areas in yellow, including Dallas, Oklahoma City, and Kansas City, has a slightly lower risk. The threat for severe weather today stretches to the East Coast and into New England, with air travel picking up ahead of a very busy holiday weekend planned for some weather delays. It will be months, if not years, before Greenfield, Iowa fully recovers from Tuesday's devastating tornado. 4 are dead, dozens more injured after the twister, with winds upwards of 165 miles per hour, leveled homes and businesses in the town. About 25 miles away, a person died after a car was blown off the side of the road. Of the 21 tornadoes that struck Iowa Tuesday, this one caused the most damage. Skylar Tullal was in Greenfield as a resident sifted through debris, looking for anything that could be saved.
What started as a normal day quickly turned into a nightmare for Cooper Brown and his family. He, his wife, and 3-year-old had to seek protection in their basement, hiding directly under the stairs.
I think right now it's a lot more just still in shock. I think just like everybody else, I think it'll take, a couple of days for it to really set in.
While Cooper's family is safe, their home directly in the tornado's path is gone, leaving only its foundation.
Yeah, my home's gone. That's my house. So if you can see the set of golf clubs sitting on the porch and the foundation of the basement, that's my house right there.
And have you been able to salvage anything from the home?
My golf clubs. That's about it. There's really not a whole lot left there. Like everything that is around my house is not my stuff.
While the whole Greenfield community is still processing, Brown says he's just thankful his family is safe, and the next step is to rebuild.
And take a look at this new video out of Carbon, Iowa. It has been sped up, showing a tornado on Tuesday taken by our storm chaser, Brett Adair. The tornado did some damage, but the area was mainly rural. The National Weather Service rated the tornado that hit Greenfield, Iowa as an EF3. Sometimes rating a tornado can be difficult. Meteorologist Brad Souter explains why.
Not a very wide path. We're not looking at, mile-wide damage, but what we are seeing is total destruction right through the core of this tornado where there's pretty much nothing left. Total destruction. Now, it's very hard to prove an F5 or EF5 tornado because it is a damage-based indicator. Okay, not wind-based, because nothing can really survive that level of wind. So if they go in here and if they see these homes or if these buildings were properly secured and built, see how there's just a slab here, nothing left? If it was properly built, then they may be able to determine this was more than an EF4. Very, very rare, though. It's been 11 years anywhere in the world since one has actually happened. So we'll see. There was a radar, a Doppler on wheels that was just a mile or two away that did sample winds over 200 miles per hour above ground level, but was it on ground level? And what's interesting, as you look at Greenfield here, it's not the hook echo like you see on a a classic tornado signature. Instead, it looks pretty linear. So it was difficult to see on radar until you saw the velocity, but the tornado went right through here, right through Greenfield towards Des Moines, where it dissipated.
In Kansas, 2 tornadoes ripped through a community near Kansas City. This happened Sunday night. Residents said they did not know the twisters were coming because storm sirens didn't go off. Renee Navarro reports as to why life-threatening alerts weren't triggered that night.
We heard this loud crash.
James Heaney is just one of many Johnson County residents that felt the wrath of Sunday night storms.
We heard the rain coming down, and it didn't seem like that bad of a storm. I thought that the house might have actually gotten struck by lightning.
It wasn't lightning, but Heaney came outside to discover that not 1, but 2 trees had fallen onto his home, causing part of his ceiling to collapse right onto his bed. Luckily, he wasn't in it at the time. Heaney says he did not hear sirens go off and that having a warning would have been helpful.
It's a catch-22, right? If you cry wolf too many times and set the siren off constantly, then what purpose does it serve? Everybody ignores it.
Exactly.
However, when it is needed, it would be nice to have. That's the whole purpose, right?
The reason sirens never went off was because the National Weather Service never issued a tornado warning.
The criteria to activate those sirens was not met with that storm on Sunday.
Johnson County Emergency Management says no tornadoes were spotted by their trained storm spotters at the time. With no warning issued or signs of activity, the sirens stayed off.
We try to capture these with tornado warnings if we can.
Jonathan Kurtz, a warning coordination meteorologist with the NWS, says they try to nail every single tornado they can find, but sometimes these short-lived tornadoes are too quick to catch.
We look at a lot of things, the environment. We've got 2 radars at our disposal in our area that we look at, and we try to get tornado warnings out on these. Unfortunately, with that event on Sunday night, the severe thunderstorm warning was out, but we weren't able to capture those 2 little circulations that developed.
While many communities continue to clean and rebuild after several weeks of strong to severe storms, another question looms. What will the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season bring us this year? Well, the outlook is coming out. Meteorologist Veronica Johnson has more.
In just a few weeks, we'll be tracking tropical storms and hurricanes. I reached out to the National Hurricane Center for an early look at what we can expect and the big change to the hurricane cone forecast.
All indications are that it could look like an above average season as it relates to certain climatological factors. That being La Nina, the transition to La Nina within the Pacific would promote the enhancement or growth of hurricanes in the Atlantic Ocean. The other factor that will play a lot of significance in not just the generation of tropical cyclones, but the intensity of tropical cyclones is how warm the ocean has been in the Atlantic. And those 2 factors on their own would promote or make you expect that we could see more tropical cyclones than we would in an average year. And it remains to be seen how intense those storms can get. But again, warm water does promote intensification when it comes to hurricanes.
Hurricane expert Cody Fritz remind us it only takes 1 landfalling hurricane in your area to make for a rough season. I'm Chief Meteorologist Veronica Johnson reporting from Washington, D.C.
Look at this. A team of astronomers have discovered a giant planet that is as light as cotton candy and about 50% bigger than Jupiter. Scientists believe it is made up mostly of hydrogen and helium. That is why they say the planet is super fluffy, like cotton candy. The exoplanet orbits a distant star in the Milky Way galaxy and is the 2nd lightest planet on record. Not sure how they weigh it. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, honeysuckles are a popular plant, but they could be a growing problem for marine life. We'll explain. And it's Water Safety Month. We'll have some tips to keep you safe this Memorial Day weekend.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. It's going to be warm and humid again in the Northeast today. Most communities will top out in the 80s. Again, normal highs are only in the 60s and low 70s. There's a front moving through, and that front will fire off some showers and thunderstorms during the afternoon. Our greatest chance for thunderstorms will be in New England. Notice a lot of sunshine with drier air starting to move in into New York here. Now, as we go into Friday's going to be a beautiful day. Look for a lot of sunshine, warm temperatures, and low humidity.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. We are going to be featuring showers and thunderstorms throughout your Thursday, especially in the afternoon and evening hours. One or two could be strong to severe with some damaging winds possible. Going into Friday, we are looking a lot drier, though. Only an isolated shower possible. Late Thursday, likely going to only reach the upper 70s, but highs could still get up to the 80s before that point. And it looks like highs on Friday will reach the upper 80s.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Breaking overnight, 9 are dead and more than 50 injured after gusty winds caused a stage to collapse. It happened at a presidential campaign event in Mexico. Videos on social media shows the moment the strong wind gusts arrived. Many of the events say the wind came without any warning. However, the Mexican Meteorological Authority, very similar to our National Weather Service, warned of the potential for storms and wind gusts upwards of 43 miles per hour. 36 billion tons, that's how much carbon dioxide humans released into the atmosphere last year. So much that it's making our planet warm quickly. Chris Kiefer explains the solution on why a tiny salt particle can make the difference.
Can a tiny salt particle, far smaller than a human hair, have a big enough impact upon the Earth's climate to change it? That's what scientists have begun to study lately, including one group aboard the USS Hornet in the Bay Area. Starting on April 2nd, atmospheric scientists from the University of Washington began spraying microscopic salt particles into the atmosphere from the deck of this aircraft carrier and are now studying the results. The city of Alameda had been informed of the study, but shut it down shortly afterwards anyway, and they're now taking a deeper look at these tiny salt particles. Researchers want to add these microscopic salt particles to the marine clouds because they would increase the number of cloud condensation nuclei that are already present in the clouds. That would create a larger number of smaller water droplets.
By increasing the number of droplets and for the same amount of liquid in the cloud, you increase the surface area of those droplets, and that increases the amount of reflection or the albedo of those clouds.
Increasing the amount of reflection, or albedo, of the cloud will change it from a dull gray color to a brighter white. The brighter white cloud would then reflect more of the sun's incoming solar energy back into space and cool the Earth down just a little, which will give atmospheric scientists more time to implement a permanent solution to global warming. They've been modeling this for a few years now inside the classroom, so the next step is to try it on a very small scale outside, study the results, and verify that their models are indeed correct. Their models have suggested that this would work best by spraying these saltwater aerosols into a large area of persistent fog, and we all know how foggy the San Francisco Bay Area can be during the summer. This wouldn't be a permanent solution, as their initial studies reveal only mild to moderate cooling, and the general consensus between meteorologists is that they would rather not do it at all. But if we continue to release billions of tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere every year, and global warming approaches catastrophic temperatures a few decades from now, this temporary solution could give future scientists roughly an extra 20 years to implement a permanent solution. A potentially big solution from a very small salt particle.
There are some side effects from marine cloud brightening that have scientists concerned. We'll bring you that story tomorrow on the National Weather Desk. The honeysuckle bush is known for its sweet smell and taste, but in some areas, it's becoming a big problem. Gardeners, homeowners, and farmers are struggling to keep the invasive plant at bay. As James Pilcher reports, it may be harming aquatic life in ponds and streams.
Honeysuckle, it's everywhere. And even though it's pretty and smells nice, it's now called the kudzu of the Midwest, a reference to the invasive vine that's taken over the South. And it's continuing to spread throughout the region, choking off plants in woods, forests, farms, and even homeowners' backyards. Great Parks of Hamilton County 2 years ago even hired farmers to bring in goats to eat it to try to cut it back. University of Kentucky horticultural extension agent Robbie Brockman says it's much like kudzu in another respect. It was originally brought in as an ornamental plant and sold as recently as 20 years ago. Now, however,
it's considered an invasive species because it is so aggressive. So it is really taking over areas and outcompeting a lot of our native vegetation.
And now new research from Northern Kentucky University indicates another threat to the environment. A triple whammy for area ponds and streams. Honeysuckle leaves falling into waterways can poison the water for developing frogs and salamanders. Those leaves also deplete the oxygen for other forms of life because they degrade so quickly. And plants suck water dry faster than normal for areas that pond up in the springtime, areas where all sorts of life get their start. One such pond at the Boone County Extension Nature Center has several spots where salamanders or frogs have laid eggs.
It would be, fish, aquatic insects, all the organisms that are in that aquatic ecosystem would be affected by that.
Brockman showed me how to remove honeysuckle, saying you need to cut it as low as you can and then apply herbicide right to the stumps as soon as possible.
Herbicides tend to be very effective for controlling bush honeysuckle. You can kill it without herbicides, but you have to continually come in here and keep cutting the top off.
After a very hot week for much of New England and near normal temperatures moving into the holiday weekend, many are off to the beach. Rip currents can be a real danger for anyone getting into the water. Meteorologist Christian Bridges recently posted about rip currents on TikTok.
That means a lot of people heading to the beach. And not only do we have to deal with the cold water, we also have to deal with rip currents. So what exactly is a rip current? Well, when you're at the beach and all those waves are breaking on shore, all that water that gets pushed up onto the beach has to flow back down and out into the ocean. Tends to form channels when it does that, of fast flowing water that is pushing quickly out to sea, and it can easily pick you up and take you out to sea very quickly, which makes them so incredibly dangerous. It's very easy to panic when you get caught in one of these. So what are you supposed to do when you get caught in a rip current and you're getting pulled out to sea? Well, the first thing is try your best not to panic. But the second thing is you swim parallel to the shoreline away from the rip current. So that way you can eventually swim back to shore without fighting against that current.
If you're off to the beach and skies are cloudy, it doesn't mean that you can skip on the sunscreen. Meteorologist Alex Garcia explains why.
You know, we're coming up on the Memorial Day holiday weekend, and most people are going to be wanting outdoors. Now, everybody likes to go outdoors during the summertime, but they think that just because it's cloudy, you won't get sunburned out there. They really don't need sunscreen. Well, guess what? The UV rays coming from the sun are going to go right through the clouds, and they're going to hit your skin, and you're going to get a sunburn. How do we know that? We have something called UV beads. Look how quickly these things change color. That tells you that the UV rays are coming right through the clouds and they're hitting these UV beads. So the quicker it changes color, the quicker they're coming through the clouds. And that means the quicker you can get a sunburn. So even though it's cloudy, yes, you can get a sunburn. Use sunscreen.
Now let's check the weather across the country for today. This is Fall River, Massachusetts, where rain and thunderstorms are on the way later this afternoon. Some may become strong to severe. Planned for highs in the lower 70s. Next to Wilmington, North Carolina, a beautiful day filled with sunshine. Highs will range between 80 to 85 degrees. It will be a very warm and humid day in Houston, Texas. Under a mix of sun and clouds, it will be breezy at times with highs around 90. Heat index values tomorrow may reach 100. And finally, Seattle, Washington. Skies will begin to clear this morning with some sun later this afternoon. Temperatures will reach the upper 60s to around 70 degrees. And before we take a short break, let's take a flight over New York's famous Coney Island.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael taking a look at our weather across the Midwest. Iowa getting another break today from the thunderstorms. We have more, though, developing out to the west and across the Ohio Valley and Tennessee area. We're going to watch this all shift its way to the east. So Iowa got a break from the storms for a couple of days, but more storms moving back in for tomorrow after all those thunderstorms and tornadoes they had earlier in the week. Saturday's dry for most of the Midwest, with temperatures still staying warm. More rain heading into Sunday.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Really nice and cool this morning, all the way from Amarillo back over in Oklahoma City, even up to Dallas. We'll give them a 71. Everybody else looking pretty warm, particularly as you get down toward the southern portion. Very warm, very humid today. We'll be keeping an eye on a warm front and a dry line. Could see another round of storms up near Dallas and back over into Oklahoma. Otherwise, the afternoon is going to be very hot and humid. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Theron Zahn with a look at the forecast for the western United States. An area of low pressure is going to sink down from Washington and Oregon into Idaho and bring some rain to western Montana and parts of the Gem State. Also staying dry, though, in Nevada and areas south of that. Take a look at these temperatures, though. 93 for Las Vegas, 97 for Phoenix. Up and down the west coast, we're in the 60s once again. 64 for San Francisco, 67 in L.A., 65 for San Diego. That's the scene from out here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
The unofficial start of summer is almost here, and many are looking for fun in the sun with water close by. Meteorologist Dave Derrick says it's important to prepare to kick off the season.
Memorial Day weekend is about here, and some of us will be heading out to an area like this one, beautiful South Holston Lake. May is National Water Safety Month, and whether it's at the lake or the pool, it's important to be prepared and to be safe. Drowning is the leading cause of death for children ages 1 to 4, so swimming lessons and knowing how to swim can reduce the risk of drowning and improve water safety skills like wearing the old life jacket. Now, when it comes to water recreation, go for it. Have a blast, but try not to overestimate, perhaps, your skill level and underestimate potentially dangerous situations. And, of course, be weather aware. And be prepared to seek safety should one of those pesky storms come to crash your summer party.
We'd love to share your unique weather content on air. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk. We're back after this. Thank you so much for looking in this morning. I'm glad you were able to join me. I'm meteorologist Steve Rudin from WJLA in Washington, D.C. I'll see you back here tomorrow.